One of my favorite people to talk about is Idaho Blackie, old Idaho Blackie up there, and I used to cut wood in his wood lot. One of those old wobblies that I sought out and that I like to talk about. He got too old to work in the forest. He used to work in the forest for his living. Well, unfortunately, his little holding that he was going to build his cabin on was over there in Hayden Lake, Idaho. Now, Hayden Lake, you may recall, was the home of the Church of Aryan Nations, those neo-Nazis that moved into North Idaho, Reverend Butler and his crowd. Well, his place butted right up against the compound of the Church of Aryan Nations, and that was not a marriage made in heaven. I went over there to see if he was still alive, and he was out there duck hunting from the front porch. Too old to go into the forest. He used to go into the forest when he was young with a case of whiskey and a shotgun and get so high he could go duck hunting with a rake. Well, he was out there blazing away, and he got the duck, but it fell into the compound of the Church of Aryan Nations. Well, he got up painfully. He was in advanced stages of crusty old farthood, and he walked around the edge of the fence. And there was the church. These neo-Nazis pretend to be Christians, but then most Christians do. And there was their school, grades 1 through 8, and the little fascist kids were out there playing with their Klaus Barbie dolls. I don't make this stuff up. And he went to lay hold of the duck, and out of the back of the church came Reverend Butler himself, no spring chicken himself. He was in his jack boots and his suntans and his Sam Brown belt and armband, little 30 Mission crush cap with a patent leather bill on it. And he laid hold of that duck and allowed how-as, whatever the Lord chose to deliver up on that patch of ground belonged to the Church of Aryan Nations. They altercated some. Fun to watch. And it got to be rancorous, though, and finally Reverend Butler drew himself up in all of his Prussian majesty and announced that they were going to settle this in the manner of true Aryan gentlemen. I'll be delicate because this is radio. He said, "We are going to take turns kicking each other in our magic parts." Each other's magic parts, you catch my drift. And the one left standing is going to keep this duck, and you, sir, as it was your shot that felled the bird, will have first crack at it. Well, Blackie tottered back 3 or 4 feet, reached down into some private recess of his soul for energy hoarded for just this occasion, flew forward, delivered a right smart kick to Reverend Butler's magic parts, cast into the ground in a fit of doom and vituperation, flopping around like a fish, blanched out, turned completely white, what he'd been trying to do all his life anyway. Finally dug his heels into the ground, pushed himself up against a tree, levered himself to a standing position, rocking back heel to toe, preparing to have at Idaho Blackie. Blackie turned to him and said, "It's okay, you can keep the duck."